Hello everyone, and welcome to the Beginner's How to Drift Guide for Forza Motorsport and Horizon. My name is Raymond, I will be your host for today, but before we get started, let me just cover a few things. First off, a few disclaimers. I am not a professional drifter, nowhere near. I am just average in Forza, and when I say average is I can go into multiplayer lobbies in Forza Motorsport and usually rank in the top 5 no matter how many people there are. I'm not the best, but I can get around with drifting pretty much any car to a decent extent. This guide, it will get you there. As well, this video is for beginners. There will be more advanced guides coming out over the next few weeks focusing on braking, initiations, finishing, and transitions. So, with all that being said, let's get into it. Now, the first thing that a lot of you will notice is that all of the footage that you're seeing right now is happening in Forza Motorsport 6. Now, this does not mean that this guide is exclusively for Forza Motorsport 6. It was my decision to film in Forza Motorsport 6, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, it is much better to learn how to drift in Forza Motorsport 6 just because of how the driving physics work, and it's a lot easier to drift in Horizon 3. So if you master Forza 6, or Motorsport 6, and then you go into Horizon 3, there will be an adjustment period, but then you will be able to go back to Forza Motorsport 7, versus if you master it in Horizon 3, it will be a lot more difficult to make that transition towards Motorsport 7. Now, the first thing you need to understand going into this video is practice, okay? There is no such thing as a video online that will get you good at drifting just by watching it and by doing a little bit of something here and something there. It will take time and effort to become good at drifting. It's sort of like a muscle memory thing. Once you have it, it's hard to lose, but getting to it and getting accustomed to it will take hours. I'm not going to lie. The drills that I'm showing you here is how I learned to drift. In about a month, I was able to face off against Nick. I went from not being able to do anything to being as good as Nick, who's been playing Forza for years. That having been said, here are a few tips that are very basic that can help you right away with your drifting. Number 1, figure out your assists. ABS on, ABS off, manual of clutch. Don't do automatic, it's a waste of your time. Don't have traction control on. That one is self-explanatory, I'd like to think. And number 2, this is a really simple one, but a lot of people don't realize it. The driving line is your friend. Keep the braking line on no matter what. The reason why is if you enter a turn trying to drift it and the line is red, you will not make it around. Aim for that line to be yellow, or if not, non-existent. That is the speed you want to be taking turns at, basically how you're racing it, and you just follow that driving line as you're drifting. That is the most basic way to figure out a good drifting line through a turn, and it should make things a lot easier for you. So, the first drill is actually really simple. I want you to pick any map you want, preferably one with some tighter turns, and I want you to pick pretty much any rear-wheel drive car you want, probably one with more power. And what you're going to do is you're going to race that track regularly, except for every corner exit you're going to be doing, you're going to slam that throttle open and you're going to practice power sliding. For those of you guys that don't know what power sliding is when you exit a turn sort of drifting, versus drifting is when you initiate into it sideways. Power sliding is simply going on the gas early and coming out sideways. Now, you need to do this drill basically as long as it takes you to feel comfortable exiting those turns where you're not spinning out and when you're getting enough angle. Once you find that smooth balance, you'll be ready to move on to the next drill. This one should not take you that long. Actually, this one should only take you 1 hour or so to master, maybe 1 day of practice, not even, and you should be good. Having mastered the beautiful form of power sliding, let's move on to drifting. But before we can move on to our next drill, let's talk about initiating. So, initiating your drift is very important. There are 4 main techniques that will be covered in an advanced guide, but today we're only going to focus on one, which is the easiest and most basic one. It's very simple. What you're going to do is turn your wheels to the inside, hit the e-brake, and then once the car begins to swing out, you hold that gas and you go for the counter steer. Now, of course, the amount of counter steer you give is going to be dependent, and it's something you're going to learn through practice, which is where our next drill comes into play. But before we can get to our next drill, let's talk about angle. Everyone's favorite thing to talk about drifting, because guess what? Drifting is all about going sideways around the corner at as much angle as you can. Well, unfortunately for us, that's not how it works in Forza. If you want points, you can't go for reverse entries. But not only that, there is sort of an optimal secret angle that you can take turns at, or the most general angle is what I like to call it. This general angle is the one you're going to be wanting to aim for the majority of the time. This is determined by the simple fact that there is a limit to how much counter steer you can give with cars in Forza Motorsport 6 and Horizon 3. This is what determines this angle, as if you surpass it, you will spin out, and if you don't get to it, well, you're just not going to be maximizing the amount of drift points. If you've noticed throughout these videos, I'm always aiming the front of my car just on the inside of the apex, and that's where you want to be pointing your car. If you're pointing it a little bit to the outside, then you're not going to be getting enough points, and if you point it too far to the inside, well, you've probably already spun out by that point. So that is where you want to be aiming for, is that general angle, as I like to call it. That being said, let's move on to our next drill. Number 1. Pick any one car, rear-wheel drive. Actually, you can pick more than one, it doesn't change anything. It must be stock, it must be rear-wheel drive, must have quite a bit of power because you want to be able to drift with it. And those are the main criteria. If you want any recommendations, I highly recommend the Challenger Hellcat, the Corvette, the C63. Those are all good cars, and I'm sure there's plenty of others that I have not named that you can take for this. Number 2, you're going to want to pick a racetrack. I highly recommend either Prague or Alps Club Circuit. The reason for this is you want a track which has a wide, basically just a wide track that has big, long, sweeping turns. These turns will allow you to learn, and by that I mean they're very forgiving. If you snap it, you won't end up crashing into a wall. You have a chance to recover. They give you a lot of room to maneuver with, and they're basically the optimal place to be learning. That having been said, this drill will take a while, which means usually you want to do about 3 laps every day if you can. And after a week, you'll see some improvement. After 2 weeks, you'll start really seeing it. And ideally, by the end of a month, you're able to get around the track consistently doing every turns. I know this sounds horrible, the amount of time it takes, but it's true. There's no golden way of learning how to drift just like that. It will take time and effort. Now, as you're progressing, you'll notice. Keep track of your scores, see how you're improving, see where you're struggling so that you can focus on those areas. Now, after a few weeks of having done this second drill, you're going to start being more consistent in your stock cars, which means you can move on to basically a fully upgraded drift car. In this situation, go and find a tune online. If you feel comfortable making your own tune, go ahead. There will be an advanced guide covering how to make your own drift cars, but until then, just go ahead and grab any tune online and you can start practicing with those cars. That will be basically the 2.5 drill is what I want to call it, because it's an extension of the second drill, because you're still doing the same track, you're just using different cars, which are going to prove much more challenging, but eventually will prove much more rewarding for you. Now, our third and final drill is nothing too special. In fact, it's something you probably end up doing anyways with your friends, but something you should do nonetheless. Pick a stock car, any stock car. If you want, you can do it by yourself with your friends. Go to the test track. Go in the containers area and just drift around. What this will do is don't set a pick course, like don't set a course specifically. As you're driving, figure out what you're doing. This will force you to adjust how long your drift is, how short it is, transitions on the fly, and will help you develop those skills you need to be able to adjust to a new track you've never raced before, because track knowledge is a huge factor in how well you can drift the track. The better you know a track, the more you can abuse of, well, certain turns and other things. But what this allows you to do is go onto a track you've never done before, have little experience on, and start adjusting as you go through the turns and as things evolve. Now, if you've done all of these things and you're like, hey Ray, I'm still not as good as I'd like to be, my first thing to say to you is, wait, there will be more advanced guides. These videos are going to be coming out once a week over the next few weeks, but until then, here's something else you can do. A little bit of a bonus drill, as I like to call it. Pick any car you want, stock, upgraded, probably upgraded might be better, a drift car. Go on the Nürburgring. Drift the Nürburgring. It is not fun to do, but what it is a tiny narrow track with lots of terrain, elevations, and different kinds of turns. It has long swooping, it has hairpins, it has short non-hairpins. It basically is all over the place. It will help you and force you to develop a new level of control that you've never had to have before. This will help you develop consistency as well as being able to maneuver around cars, we'll say, in multiplayer, as on the Nürburgring there's no room for forgiveness. It's either you're on the track or you're in the wall. Well, there we go, guys. We've reached the end of our first ever How to Drift guide, the beginner's guide, but before I leave you, there are a few points I want to leave with you. Number 1, figure out your assists. Number 2, keep in mind that the driving line is your friend. Number 3, track knowledge is extremely important. Knowing a track allows you to maximize the amount of points you can get on it. Number 4, practice every day. The more you practice, the better you'll become. Number 5, doesn't mean because you're not seeing any progress that you're not improving. I know it might seem like you're not getting better, but really, one day things will click and all of a sudden, you will be that awesome drifter. With all that having been said, guys, that is the end. I hope you all enjoyed. I really had a blast making this. It did take me a lot of time to make, so I really would appreciate if you guys would like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. Check out my social media and my Twitch channel in the links in the description below if you want to hang out with me more often or just want to get in contact with me. With all that having been said, this is Raymond, signing off.